Faster than writing to a letter form, more thoughtful than angry clickbait, able to discuss the world's first superhero in comics, film, TV, and more. It's the Supermaniacs, and we are live today with the first show of the year, 2026. We are going to be talking about all of the Superman and Superfamily media coming out this year that we are excited for. I'm Fatheree. This is Mike. Mike, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well today. I'm excited for the year to come when it comes to Superman media.
Yeah, it's been kind of a rough year in a lot of regards, and just the 19 days on day of recording that we've made it into 2026. Uh, but that being said, I am excited for the Superman stuff we have coming out this year. A couple things, especially in particular. But yeah, when it comes to comics, uh, animation, we have some animation to look forward to. One big movie in particular, and I'm curious if you think of anything else that I might be forgetting, but I'm not sure where to begin. I guess on the biggest thing, I guess, is the DCU movie with Supergirl.
Yes, which is the most obvious thing to talk about right away is because we know when it's coming out. We have trailers. They've already been interviewing about them. James Gunn and some other people have already talked about it. There's one thing they mentioned after we talked about it last year, which is that it's not going to fully follow the comic that it's based on, which makes
Yeah.
sense because I looked further into the story and the way that story ends. I don't think it's not really a way of doing some of that stuff, sort of thing. So I'm curious to see exactly what they mean by it not fully, following the comic. Because the fact that Lobo alone is in the movie shows that it wasn't going to follow it anyways.
Right. And originally, the writer of the story, Tom King, talked about he wanted to use Lobo in the comic, but it sounds like the way that they're using him in the movie is going to be different from whatever his original plan was. I don't know if like the story is kind of weird because it teams Supergirl up with a buddy, so she has this the sidekick Ruthie who tags along with her. And when I heard they were gonna have Lobo in the movie, it's like, oh, well, is it gonna be like Supergirl teamed with Lobo? And then it's like, well, no, we still have Ruthie in the movie. And so then it's like, oh, is he going to be the bad guy, or are they going to use Lobo instead of the what's his name? Krim of the Yellow Hills is the bad guy. But they have an actor playing Krim of the Yellow Hills, so it's whatever Lobo's function is in this movie. There's no obvious place in the comic story, so it's gonna be something new and different.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting time. We've already have our theories about the movie, about maybe even some of the order of events of what's in the trailer. Because the Superman trailer was pretty good about keeping a lot of what it was truly about hidden, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
curious. I'm curious how long that'll last for Supergirl because Supergirl. Honestly, I'm surprised how much we found from the Supergirl trailer. At the same time, how little probably seems to be there, even compared to when we started getting Superman trailers. So I'm excited to see what they're ready to reveal as time goes on, and I'm sure they're going to announce that stuff in the coming months. Because when is the release date again for it specifically?
June 26th. So we're like 5 months away, basically.
Yeah, and Superman took forever to get trailers each time. So if it follows the same pattern, then we might not get another like full trailer for another month or two.
Yeah, unless they give us something during the Super Bowl, which might just be like a short TV spot. But they have the Super Bowl coming out, I think, February 8th. Yeah, that's a Sunday. That sounds right.
Yeah, that's
So
probably the only thing we'll probably get out of it. Because even when they did the Superman, because I know they showed Superman a little bit there, it still felt like it was kind of the same trailer
yeah,
type of thing.
yeah, they might just like recut all the stuff from the previous trailer. Maybe add one or two new shots. Maybe have like a slightly longer shot of Momoa as Lobo, and maybe give him like one line or something.
Yeah, you remember when we were doing this? We were doing paying attention to the Superman stuff. There were just TV spots that had like the smallest new thing in each one, type of thing, and to the point where we were like, we would message each other off, off recording, being like, "Did you see the new one? It's got 5 seconds more." Lois being like, "Hi," like every time. But that's how like little we were being given when that movie was coming out.
Yeah,
So
for
I since James Gunn was the director of that, like I wonder how much control he had over that, as well as since he's the head of everything, and whether or not he has the same type of control on Supergirl, or if he like maybe let the director have some ideas of what she wants to show, what he wants to show. I made it sound like Supergirl directed the movie. Um,
But yeah, maybe he's less protective of keeping all the plot details under wrap if it's not his baby. Maybe
yeah,
he's like, oh yeah, we can be a little bit showier in the trailer. I'm gonna cave to these marketing people that are wanting me to put together these revealing trailers to generate buzz. Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting point. We also have the TV show that he didn't make, Lanterns, but the other live action DCU TV show coming out this year, and we don't know if that's going to be before or after Supergirl. They finally stopped saying Lanterns was going to be early 2026. Now they're just saying summer. So I'm gonna guess it's actually gonna come out. I now think Lanterns will be out after Supergirl. Uh, but I wonder if they're going to start, really revving up the marketing on that show because we've still have seen so little of Lanterns.
yeah, that's the thing. We see DC's been really shy about its live action stuff. Um, like unlike Marvel, where every 20 seconds they're like, "Oh, look who we got! Look at the new trailer! Look at the 8 fucking Avengers Doomsday trailers we got," type of thing. Even though there's still those are secretive, but they're still like telling you a lot about their television shows and stuff like that. Wonder Man's coming out. Like there's a lot. Like we know a lot about these things right away.
That is true. Yeah, I feel like we
Whereas,
we know we know more about Avengers Doomsday than we know about Spider-Man Brand New Day. Even though Spider-Man Brand New Day is going to be out way sooner.
yeah, it's crazy. It's like we know so little about lanterns that one of the things that we saw of lanterns was a tiny clip, and it wasn't them like, look at this exclusive lanterns clip. It was like, look what's coming to HBO, and it was like a fucking montage of HBO shows, and lanterns just happened to be this tiny little spot in it, and it was like a very small. I'm sure you saw the scene, right? You know which one the scene I'm
Hmm.
talking about. It's Hal driving off of he takes his ring off, he puts it on the hood on the dashboard of the car, and then he just drives off a cliff, and you're just like, what the fuck was that about? Like, what am I
Yeah,
supposed to be getting out of that?
it's like some Thelma and Louise vibes almost.
Yeah, it's everything about HBO right now, the HBO live action stuff. Because Lanterns was being made before the DCU was even a thing, but they just repurposed it to like a much older Hal Jordan working with Jon Stewart, and that's kind of all we know about it, really. Like that we've been told, it's like, well, it's got some like cop vibes because they're on Earth,
Right.
and like we don't even know who else is in the show outside of the 2 leads. I don't know who else is supposed to be in it. For all I know, it's a bottle episode of a series type of thing because we haven't been told shit.
Yeah, well, they've said, speaking of cop shows, that it's going to be very true detective in nature. The HBO prestige television cop show. But they've also mentioned things like, oh, there's like murder in the American heartland that the Green Lanterns have to investigate. So I don't know. I guess it's going to be some type of crime story, murder mystery. But it's also a possibility that there's a lot of like big sci-fi outer space action that requires a lot of post-production and might be why the show might have had like a slight delay to the later part of the year and also why they haven't revealed much marketing wise. But I, I I'm glad that they're not going to be like fully CGI suits like Ryan Reynolds was when he was Green Lantern. But
Yeah, the funniest thing about the all CGI suits is that like we give it shit now, but it clearly was just too early for its own good, because we know that the Iron Man suits and stuff like that
mm,
are full CGI now, and we don't complain as much, but that's because the technology caught up. They did it way too early.
yeah,
They should have done a practical suit on him only for like they only should have done the full CGI whenever it came onto him and then switched to practical the rest of the time. But
but
yeah, that was a bad choice on their part.
But if maybe like I don't know if they're dealing with like CGI characters that are other aliens, maybe that's the reason why they haven't revealed much. There's still like a lot of post production going on, so
It makes the
I can
most
see
sense for
that.
lanterns, yeah.
Uh, they said that there will be a lot of time spent off world as well as stuff on because that's like kind of the concern I'm getting is like I don't really want Green Lanterns to be like True Detective. I want Green Lanterns to be closer to Star Wars or something cosmic and sci-fi, not grounded on Earth. But but the fact that we're getting a Supergirl movie that James Gunn has described as it's like a space fantasy movie, that makes it sound like there's potential for a DCU TV show to be spend a lot of time out in space as well.
Yeah, I'm very excited because of the fact that Supergirl is going to be an intergalactic story. It's something we've been asking about. We've been asking for a super family thing in general. Like these characters, because it's one of the issues I've always had when people are just like the super family is boring because all they do is they're so powerful that nothing on earth can stop them. I'm like, great. If that's your criticism, take it off world. Like
Yeah,
there's like that's literally all you have to do is like you can make any story off world and it becomes a fight for their life type thing. Like, and it's the same with the game when somebody's like, you can't make a Superman game where he's so powerful anything happens in Earth. Like, yeah, take him to Warworld, make it a Warworld game, like anything like that. Like
I've heard.
Superman stories work super well because they work in any setting, and I feel like we've sorely been lacking Superman out off world on in media outside of comics.
Yeah, I've heard you make that case before that that'd be really easy to do a Superman video game set on another planet, and yeah, I agree with that. I think that would be pretty awesome. I wish that we had Superman in games to talk about this year in 2026, but there's not as far as I know nothing video game related that's Superman coming out this year.
No, as far as we know, I know the DC gaming brand is in a weird place with the sale of WB. So we're not 100% sure what will happen once the only like DC game that's being made that's we know of that's going to come out soon is the Lego Batman game, but that doesn't really have anything necessarily to do with us. But that's the only thing that I know that's supposed to come out. We don't even the Wonder Woman game got canceled. Like there's so many games that got canceled even before this happened that we're like we don't really know what we know that James Gunn wants to make DC superhero games, but we haven't heard of any announcements of anything that is part of the DCU the way he wants it to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that would be really cool to have like narrative based games that take place within the DCU that are canon to the DCU. I think that'd be really cool if you had like characters mention events that happened within a video game or something.
Yeah, because
You
we
know,
already have the TV shows and some. I don't know. I don't think we have any comics yet, but I have a feeling. Oh, actually, no, that's not true. We have that small comic excerpt because of the dog bones
oh
thing.
yeah, the
Um,
Milkbone ad
no,
commercial. Yeah,
that technically counts as part of
yeah,
it.
yeah. That's
We even have
DCU canon, right?
Yeah, we even have although the novel, which is the one that I had, that one was. It turns out that one wasn't canon, as it turns out. But that's another good example of like being able to do that if they wanted to. They could have made that whole thing canon. So I'm curious to see, because he was very adamant that he wanted it to be an all-encompassing web of storylines, the way that Marvel, because Marvel really fucked that up in my opinion when they had 10 years to make a bunch of video games based on this ever popular property, and they only did it for the first phase and then nothing
Yeah.
else. They made no more games out. They didn't even make an Avengers game when Avengers came out. Like there was one in development, it got canceled. They didn't even attempt to make another Avenger game until after Endgame was already done. It's like, how did you missed such a huge window to make so much money? Because they were hoping the Disney Infinity stuff would carry it, but nobody wanted those. That's why Disney Infinity's not around anymore. Sorry, I'm going on a tangent now.
Oh, but just ever since I played the Batman Arkham games, I've always wanted a Superman game made with like that level of attention to detail. Even if it wasn't like, like the same type of like open world game, if they did something different, but just uh, I honestly like I want to hire the team who did the Arkham games and tell them, okay, give us a Superman game and also give us like an Arkham style Batman Beyond game. Those seem like the most like obvious cash grabs to pump out that I think people would eat up. I think there'd be a big audience for either of those.
Yeah, it's crazy to me that like audiences just haven't been given these things. Like Greg Miller, he's a podcaster. He's known for Kind of Funny is the name of his channel. He used to be an IGN correspondent for Sony, or their Sony correspondent for IGN essentially. And that man loves Superman more than most people. His level of Superman love is like at our level. The only reason I give him slightly above us is because he's one of the only human beings I know who, for some reason, likes Batman v Superman. I don't know how, in God's name, he does, but he does. But
Yeah,
he
but
has
some
been,
people do.
yeah, they do. I'm not going to claim that I hate them because I don't hate them, but I still hate the movie, and that's what I will say about that. But he has been championing like I want a Superman movie so much. Like he's every new like like every new like big conference, he's like Superman game, Superman game, come on, Superman game. Never happens though, of course, but it is like one of his white whales type of thing of just like I want Superman anything, because the problem is the only things we have Superman related that you can play right now, and the reason I emphasize that because of the fact that Superman games that the games that even he was even in are hard to play now. Like you can't just go in and get a copy of Superman Returns right away. You can't, or like that you can play on a modern console. You can't just buy Justice League Heroes, which was like the Marvel Ultimate Alliance Justice League game. You can't just buy that on a new console. You can't just buy, or you don't want to buy Superman 64 on a new console, of course, but you can't just do that either. You can't buy Superman Shadow Apocalypse, but you can play the phone games. You can play DC Universe. I forget the name of it, even though I played all the time. DC Worlds Collide. And then there's DC Dark something. I can't even remember the name of it. It's another phone game that's like I get ads for it that looks dumb. The ads are really dumb, but I get ads for that one all the time. Or you could play, DC Universe Online that came out 20 years ago, something like that, and is consistently being updated. And you don't even really get to play Superman all that much in that because there's like a mode where you can use him if you want to, type of thing. But that's it. Like there's nothing you can just get that just is like I want to play Superman right now. It's like no, there's you deal with the slop we have, and you're gonna like it. Did I ever tell you what the Batman speaking of Batman v Superman? Do you know what the Batman v Superman game was?
Mm-mm.
It was an endless runner on the phone. It was just Superman. It was one of those endless runners.
I remember hearing about this now.
Yeah, you just chose Superman or Batman, and then they just ran. I was like, what is this? This is what we're doing? It was like, I want a game. I'm looking forward to the idea that we could get a game that would involve Superman for the first time. Because the only thing I got out of him recently was Fortnite, because you could get the current Superman in Fortnite, and there was a mode where you got to be kind of like a giant Superman that had like superpowers, and that's it. Although,
Fortnite doesn't count though, because like every character, every frame, it's like the what do you call the figures uh the pop figures.
oh yeah, it's like a Funko Pop thing.
Yeah, the
Um,
Funko Pops. It's Fortnite's like the same thing. It's like every character, every franchise shows up eventually.
yeah, I just remember there's a Minecraft Superman level that you can download. I don't know if it's still around, but it was the only other thing because it gave you Superman powers, I think, in it. But it's still a Minecraft game. There's nothing really like it's not a Superman game. It's a Minecraft mod essentially. It made that's officially made, but doesn't make it any better, type of thing.
Well,
Vulnerable Temple Run. You weren't invulnerable. You just ran into shit and you lost things or whatever. It was stupid. The fact that Batman v Superman, the first time Batman and Superman were ever in a movie together, this game was an endless runner. Is so stupid.
yeah, the fact that like Superman like famously does not get good video games is sad and something that I would like to see corrected. But 2026 doesn't look like it's going to be the year that happens. So we might not be getting any Superman in video games. But as far as like animation goes, there hasn't been a season of My Adventures with Superman since 2024 was when I believe when season 2 came out.
So that
Um,
was the thing I was looking up a little while ago. There were rumors that My Adventures with Superman is in post production right now, and
yeah,
that it'll either be end of the year or sometime next year.
no, I need it before the end of the year. Like I need it ASAP. Like I don't if it doesn't come out till next year, that'll be that's a 3-year delay. Yeah, from 24 to 27.
Well, if you remember how long the delay was from announcement to first season, that's pretty good. Announcement the first season was like a 5 year gap. Like I started to think the show didn't exist,
Hmm.
type of thing, because we had two images, and it was Lois grabbing Clark and her going like this, like with her hand like going, and Jimmy like taking a picture. That was the only image we had for My Adventures with Superman, outside of some like concept art that leaked. That even then they didn't you fully use because Superman's suit looked slightly different than what was in the concept art. So it's like I need something, because the only other thing we've gotten out of it, I think, was like concept art for the intro for season 3. Is the only thing I've seen so far. And I know that Jack Quaid posted at one point, he's like, we're doing voices, but that was like
That was last year.
that was last year, like
Yeah, that was a
middle of
while
last
ago.
year. And we're like, oh, that means it's coming soon. No, no, that's not what that meant, it turns out.
uh,
But their
and I
comic came out. If you guys haven't read that, it's a comic that takes place between season 1 and 2. So I do recommend that. It's only like $13, 13, $15. So I do recommend getting that if you're hankering for some My Adventures and you just haven't had a chance, type of thing.
but if slash when it does come out, hopefully later this year, it'll be a fun excuse to go back and rewatch seasons 1 and 2 because they're short 10 episode seasons.
They're very
Um,
short, or not super short, but they're fairly short seasons, and it's a show that's just I recommend to anyone who's. It was a show that I could recommend to anybody who wasn't sure about Superman in general
hmm
until the movie came out. Because before the movie came out, it was the only thing. It was one of the only beginner friendly shows that existed that wasn't made before 2000. Because Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman used to be the other one that I would tell people, like, look, if you don't really like Superman, watch this show. You'll have a good time with Lois and Clark's relationship first, and Superman stuff second. But we don't know why we can't recommend that anymore.
Yeah, that's unfortunately. Well, I don't know.
I
Maybe
can still recommend it, but I can't recommend it the same way I used to. And it's not on HBO Max right now. They took it off of HBO Max.
Yeah.
But I think it's because they finally started selling the Blu-ray, which I might get eventually. They're selling the Blu-ray finally, so the HD episodes are finally you can finally own them physically. Because you could be prior to that, you could only buy them on iTunes.
Yeah.
I didn't even know when it
And
came out. Somebody on Reddit mentioned it.
My Adventures with Superman still has not gotten a Blu-ray release all this time later.
Season 2 isn't even out on DVD.
Yeah, that's sad. Uh, I'm a big believer in supporting the physical media that you want to buy because they make less and less of it every year. So if you don't buy the stuff you want, they're gonna stop making that an option in the future. They're kind of already getting to that point with a lot of TV shows. I think it's sad that you can't buy Peacemaker in 4K Blu-ray, even though it streams on HBO in 4K.
Yeah, I wonder whose decision is for certain things because there's a lot of shows on HBO that just aren't available for purchase. Even like actual HBO shows, like Barry is a good example of that. I think season 1 is the only thing on DVD. Yet that show's been over for like 2-3 years now, but there's no way of buying it in any like in a physical form. There's no way of buying, like you said, Peacemaker. And I don't think there's a way of buying Creature Commandos either, which is another a DC thing that we should be able to have. But as far as I know, there isn't a way of buying it, even especially physically. I don't even know if you can buy that one digitally. I assume you can buy Peacemaker digitally.
That's a good question. Yeah, I should look into that actually. I'm kind of curious. Um, but other than My Adventures with Superman, I don't know if there's anything animated with Superman or any other Super Family characters coming out next year. I think the only other thing that would be a possibility would be like if they did any animated movies that Warner Brothers puts out from time to time. I know they're doing a Batman Nightfall movie next year, which I'm not
Yeah,
or this year now. It's 2026. There's a
there was
Batman Nightfall movie. Part one will be out this year, right? They're gonna do it in 3 parts.
yeah, which is a great idea because the Batman. I'm always surprised they didn't make
Nightfall.
a Nightfall one for years like that. We've done 2 Death of Supermans. This is one of the rare instances where
Yeah.
Superman has more of the adaptations of his things than we do of Batman's like version of the Death of Superman essentially because we've been getting every other Batman adaptation, but somehow the Batman Nightfall one is the only one that somehow slipped, which is a shame because I would have definitely used Kevin Conroy for that.
Oh yeah, yeah. That would have been perfect to have a Conroy in that. That's one of the I guess iconic stories that he never got to vote. I know like they played around with Bane and BTAS a little bit, but not the same. That was the first comic I ever owned was I think it's Batman 465 or something like that. But it's the one where Bane is in the Batcave when Batman returns, and it's like the reveal that Bane had figured out his secret identity, and he beats the shit out of him, and then breaks his back and declares himself the champion of Gotham City who broke the Bat. Um,
Yeah, like the funny thing is that the first graphic novel I ever owned was The Death of Superman, and the
mhm.
first Batman graphic novel I ever owned was the first Nightfall trade, which ends with him breaking the bat. Which is just funny to me that the first 2 like
Yeah,
graphic novels I ever owned of the 2 biggest superheroes are
you're
like their lowest point essentially.
yeah the defeat of your heroes. But I remember talking about that with our friend Dave who works at Rogues, and he said, well, one of the first Thor comics I ever read was Beta Ray Bill beating him up. So a lot of us come into the stories of our heroes when they lose.
Yeah, it's really funny when you think about it. Like I think even one of the first Spider-Man comics I read all the way through, and I mean trade wise was the first Moreland story where he does get the shit beat out of him there too. He does win eventually, but gets the shit beat out of him. And then the very first Spider-Man comic I ever read I was at a Kmart and I found a random Spider-Man comic issue there. It ended with like him in an insane asylum with a goatee for some reason. It was a very
That's a
strange. I
hell of
never even read that. I never found the story. I should look that up one of these days
man.
to find out what that story was even about.
I had the perfect first Spider-Man comic. It was a Spectacular Spider-Man 200
Oh yeah, that's a great one.
with Harry Osborn as the Green Goblin.
You know what I'm bummed out about is they finally came out with the omnibus for that last year, but it somehow became out of print faster than any other omnibus I've ever bought. It's the only omnibus I didn't buy that, and it's the only one that went out of print. Are the ones I thought were going to go out of print.
Damn.
I bought the DC Marvel one thinking it was going to go out of print super fast the same way. I can find that thing. I can find the variant covers
they
for that
printed a
all
lot
over
of
the
those.
place. Yeah, but apparently they only made like 12 of the Spectacular Spider-Man ones. And I'm like, now it's going to cost me $500 if I want it. Sorry, that's the whole thing.
Yeah,
but that's a whole other thing that frustrates me.
Who knew there was such a market for J.M. DeMatteis, the writer?
You know what's also crazy about that omnibus? It was printed in every other language first before they did an English omnibus for it.
That's really weird.
There was a Polish omnibus before there was an English one.
Huh.
It was ridiculous. Sorry,
Yeah,
I got on a tangent. But
that
yeah,
is
animation wise,
bizarre.
the only other thing I know, this isn't necessarily a spin-off Superfamily wise, but there is the My Adventures with Green Lantern that is supposed to be a spin-off of My Adventures with Superman because it's supposed to be in the same universe is what they've said. But it's like a Jessica Cruz show, I think.
Jessica Cruz, yeah. So
which is a great fucking idea.
Yeah, I mean, it would be cool to, if not Superman, but like maybe Jimmy or Lois or someone else from that show could show up or make a cameo appearance or
maybe like
appearance.
A TV like a news report or something that you see.
Or someone is following Jimmy. He has the Flamebird social media platform. So yeah, maybe someone on the Green Lantern show has like the Flamebird TikTok channel pulled up on their phone or something.
The funniest outcome is it's just Steve Lombard.
Yeah, well, I guess he was making content also, so they could have someone following him.
It's him going, nah.
Yeah. So the only Superman in animation we think that we're gonna see is possibly My Adventures with Superman, or who knows, maybe My Adventures with Green Lantern. But in the comics, I guess we have the same, I guess 3 Superman titles and 1 Supergirl title all coming out right now, right? With Action, Superman, Superman Unlimited, and the Supergirl.
No, well, we have a lot. We have a lot of Superman stuff right now. There's Superman Action Comics, Book of Kal-El, Superman Unlimited, the Batman,
the Book of Kal-El,
the Batman, Superman, World's Finest, the Supergirl, as you mentioned. There's one other one that's eluding me.
Oh, Absolute Superman.
Absolute Superman, yes. And then there's Absolute Superman, and there's some stuff that involves Jonathan Superman. But I don't know if that's still going on. I don't know if
what's he
Secret
showing
Six
up in now? Like, what's
the last thing he did was Secret Six, where his boyfriend broke up with him by the end of it. But there are solicitations that he might end up in the newest Teen Titans later on this year. In fact, I have a lot of this. I have a lot of the solicitations up in front of me because there's a lot of stuff that I'm really excited about in here. I'm trying to find the Titans one because there's a cover of the Teen Titans and it shows like a silhouette of Jonathan's Superman S of him like flying with a bunch of other Teen Titans. And then there's also his appearances because he's also showing up Superman Unlimited because he showed up in that. Apparently he's gonna have a story in Superman Unlimited later this year that involves time travel shenanigans. So he might be Superboy in that, just for that story specifically. And it's got this like really gnarly character on the front that looks kind of like a Superman Nightwing looking guy from the future. but it doesn't really tell you exactly who it is. But like we're not 100%. But it's clearly like a Nightwing, like a future Nightwing that happens to be Kryptonian, is what it seems to look like.
Like a speaking of Flamebird, like a Nightwing and Flamebird type of situation, like a
Yeah, he almost looks like a fusion of the two because he's got like a Nightwing symbol, but his cape in some parts of the art, his cape makes feels more flame like. But he's got like a face mask that completely covers his face with like black hair shooting out of it. And this is sometime this year around around March. This will be Superman Unlimited number 11
okay.
is
So
what
in
the
the
solicitations for. And there's some solicitations for some stuff that's supposed to be post DCKO involving what's going on in Superman. I don't know if I want to spoil it for people if they haven't read the solicitation for this, but I'm super fucking curious as to where this is going to go.
go ahead and spoil it. Let's spoil it.
Okay, so for people who don't know, DCKO is an event right now. It's a giant tournament of all the heroes fighting each other, heroes and villains fighting each other. So apparently, get like if they win, they get access to like all the power of Apocalypse or some shit or something like that. I can't remember the specifics on what they get if they win, but apparently, according to the solicitation, after DCKO ends, Superman goes missing. He's just missing in action. And since he's missing, um, Superboy Prime takes over the title as I guess the Superman who's for the time being while Clark is missing.
And this will be in the Joshua Williamson book, right? Because they
Yes,
have this.
this apparently will start in on March 25th for Superman number 36. There's a great cover of him. It's a variant cover actually. It's funny because this variant cover is actually for Absolute Superman as well. It's Superboy Prime holding the comic, eating popcorn, looking like really interested. It's a great little variant. It cracks me up looking at it. But I'm really excited because yeah, Superboy Prime he's been redeemed quite a bit. He's been redeemed like 2 or 3 times now. He defeated the Batman Who Laughs. He helped the heroes. He's helping the heroes. Or sorry, he helped Superman with the evil Legion of Superheroes before DCKO started, and now he's helping Lois with some stuff involving DCKO. So it seems that he's staying on the straight and narrow now, is the hope. And so I'm very excited to see where that goes. Superman Book of L is still going on. That one I'm not keeping up with, so I don't. The solicitation doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but it seems to be he's like in the future. He's in a future time frame where because he's got by a guy who sends him to the future, and he sees like that Book of L stuff that happened in that future state. If you remember that, so you see it's kind of like that, but it's technically the end of Philip Kennedy Johnson's Superman run. So that's one of the reasons I'm really interested in it because he's still using the twins where nobody else is, which is really funny. And Supergirl's still really good. If you guys haven't read Supergirl, I highly recommend reading Supergirl. Apparently, the solicitations seem to show that that Connor Kent Superboy will be helping out during this time frame. And Action Comics has been a little interesting because Action Comics has decided to be a past story. Have you been reading that one?
No, but it's something that Mark Wade has been doing a lot lately with setting stories in earlier times in these superheroes' careers.
Yeah, so he's still doing like past. He's still doing Superboy storylines, which is that Clark Kent is Superboy in Smallville. It's funny because his Superboy has like the Superman outfit, but he's wearing like Converse instead of his Superman boots. So that kind of like changes some of what we know Superboy as normally. And so I'm curious to see where that one's going to keep going because the first storyline of it was really interesting. The second storyline of it was also kind of interesting because there's the latest issue. If you guys haven't read it, is about Superboy in the issue beforehand makes a deal with the government Because if you need any help with something, I'll help you out. And they finally called him in for that favor. So he finds himself in a war zone. He's like, I didn't think this part through. Type of thing. And it's really interesting, a little heartbreaking. Batman, Superman, if you guys haven't been reading Batman, Superman, the latest issue that's going to come out, I'm really excited about. If you guys haven't seen that, it's the fusion Batman, Superman are going to fight a merged Joker Luthor. So I'm really excited about that. And then in the solicitations, we have some mention that they're going to fight the Earth 3 Ultraman and Owlman, most likely, in their next big story after the current one.
Yeah, that series has been a lot of fun. That's been probably my favorite comic of the last 3 or 4 years, but at this point. But I've really enjoyed what Mark Waid has been doing with the world's finest.
Yeah, it's been great. And Absolute Superman, it's going through its newest storyline, started as of last week or the week before that. Superman is now Superman. He's now accepted that he's Superman, but he has now met the Absolute Hawkman. That's how the newest issue ends, with him meeting Absolute Hawkman. And the solicitations show that the solicitations and the preview for the next 2 issues are like Hawkman's here to teach him the ropes, and the next one's like something that we might see Absolute Parasite, and DC Hawkman's probably going to help him, or Absolute Universe Hawkman's going to probably help him. This is interesting specifically because of what he did in Absolute Evil. So I'm curious as to what Hawkman is going to be doing.
But the Absolute Universe, there seems to be like a lot of convergences between characters right now. Now that they've kind of started, establishing these different interpretations of classic DC characters. Now they're starting to cross paths, and it's starting to feel more like a shared universe.
Yeah, Absolute Wonder Woman and Batman just had their first team up. I think they're going to do another one in the actual Absolute Batman comic. And but what I like about it, there's a moment where Wonder Woman's talking about, she's like, yeah, things are so different. Do you think we should talk to the Superman? And when it does, is the panel turns into a Superman crest S, like the container of the S, essentially. Like it turns into that when she says that, and I thought that was really fun. Because it makes me excited, because it's funny that Superman's the one who hasn't met the others, and he seems to be the most loner out of everyone, which is so funny to me.
Yeah, he is the loner, though. He is the how it's like Batman in the Justice League animated series, and he's like, I'm just gonna be a part-timer, even though he shows up in damn near every episode. But it's like, that's gonna be this absolute Superman. He's the guy who he's not gonna be the leader like how he typically is. I don't think.
Yeah, it's really fun that way. And he's if you haven't read the newest Superman, if you haven't read the last Absolute Superman in the newest one,
14 or 15.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil some of the things, but I really appreciate the explanation for why he changes his outfit from the color it is before to a bright blue in 15. So it's very heartfelt, in my opinion. It's very much one of the reasons I like Absolute Superman, is Absolute Superman can be so devastating, but also super just fucking charming because of it.
Yeah, it has so much heart. Even it can get so incredibly dark and hopeless, but then the heart still shines through at the end.
Exactly, 100%. And this Absolute Superman continues to be inspiring in ways that I'm happy to have in my life right now, if that makes sense.
Oh, by the way, I did read the Bane issues of Absolute Batman recently, since you and I talked about that, and yeah, that book is such a roller coaster for me, because it'll go so ridiculous, but then it'll have something so cool. And I'm like, oh man, I love that. That was really badass. I love this comic. And then it'll have something just so stupid right after that.
Oh, 100%. I remember reading the first time Batman fights Bane. And he's like, you're all roided up. He's like, oh, I haven't turned the thing on.
Yeah.
And then he becomes he becomes like a kaiju,
Yeah, yeah.
borderline, and you're just like, what? What?
And then Absolute Killer Croc, I was not prepared for, but
No, no, nothing prepares you for Absolute Killer Croc.
yeah.
And
Yeah, when you see Absolute Killer Croc, your relationship with life and the universe and everything in it changes. It's just
it does give one of my favorite moments because there's a thing that people kept mentioning about Bane is that Bane likes to quote random shit. Although people pointed out, I didn't realize this, that Bane gets the quotes wrong actually. But I love that when Batman finally gets a chance to say one, he's just like, "Eat shit, Batman, now." It's just
um,
so fucking funny. It's so great. The Absolute series is one of my favorite things, and like and if you ask people their weakest Absolute comic varies. Mine to me the weakest Absolute comics is the Absolute Green Lantern one, but for some it's the Flash, some it's the Martian Manhunter. But the Trinity always at the top of somebody's.
mhm.
Either it's Batman, either it's Superman, or it's Wonder Woman. It's never any of the others, as far as I can tell. It's one of those three when you ask somebody what's their favorite,
But
and I'm
I
happy
love
about
all
that.
three of those. I think that they're some of the best comics coming out right now.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I highly recommend. DCKO is the latest issue ended with what seems to be. Somebody brought this up. I don't know how true it is. Is that it turns out that the absolute characters that show up in DCKO are like copies, which is the reason they like are fighting in DCKO. And when they showed them, they have these. They look like dark, almost dark. Like they look like dark versions of them. Like their eyes
Mm.
have that sort of like zombie like type of evil look in their eyes.
Yeah, that I
So
can see them making that decision though, because it's like, okay, we're doing this cool multiverse crossover event. We want to have the absolute line represented there, but we also don't want to pollute those stories with big multiverse crossover shit just yet. So we're gonna make copies of these characters so we can still have them in their badass action glory in DCKO.
yeah, it would seem like it would be so weird to just like be like continued in DCKO whatever in the middle of this, because that is the problem I had with the New 52 was the New 52 started going and not even two volumes. Like we got 2 volumes of Justice League before every Justice League storyline became a crossover with multiple ones. So you had to own Justice League of America, um, Forever Evil,
Dark Justice
Aquaman,
League.
whatever the fuck it was. Like everything, there was no longer you can just read Justice League and you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like not even 12 issues in and you're already like you fucked yourself that way. And this is the thing that Absolute Universe I'm happy they seem to have learned their lesson with, which is if we do crossover stuff, it's still within their own title, and you don't need to read the other title necessarily unless you want to. There's no moment where it's like, well, continued an Absolute Wonder Woman, continued Absolute Superman. Like it's not. I'm not worried about absolute fucking Civil War or some shit. Like like I'm here for the ride. I'm happy that DCKO decided these two are just going to have their normal thing. I am curious to see how it's going to end. The DCKO seems to put all like emphasis on Superman being maybe the main character of it because of the fact that like as he fights, he has parts of his cape wrapped around his hands. He's been fighting for a while. Even like it's funny because every time it cuts to like them finishing or when they start, he's like back in his full outfit, but when it stops, he's all fucked up, and it's just kind of interesting that way. So I'm curious to see if that sticks around by the
Yeah,
end of it.
I haven't read any of the KO stuff, but I've seen them promoting it with Superman
Yeah,
with his
and
cape wrapped around his fists.
I will say one thing about DCKO that I think is really funny. I think it's designed to fuck with power scalers more than anything else, because Joker just gets away with a lot of dumb shit. And then not only that, the other thing I'm excited about this year is DCKO Boss Battle. I think is the name of the one shot. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
It's the comic. It seems to be like a giant crossover idea where in the tournament they all fight characters outside of the DC universe.
Oh, this is the one that like
Yeah, so Superman's gonna be fighting Homelander.
mhm.
Lex Luthor is gonna be fighting Sam from Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. I think Supergirl or somebody's gonna be fighting Sub Zero and Scorpion for Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, they have Mortal Kombat characters in there.
Yeah, Vampirella's in there, or something like that. Like if you guys see the cover, you'll be like, "I'm sorry." And there's previews already of like Sam from Beneath the Trees with like a knife, just fucking trying to stab the ever living shit out of Lex Luthor, and he looks fucking terrified. And I can't wait to see what the fuck's going on with that, because she's not like super powered. She's a woman from a small town who's an anthropomorphic bear with a knife. Lex has a suit of armor, and he still looks fucking terrified.
Oh, we should mention one of the biggest things in the comic industry happening this year that also involves Superman. But speaking of comic book crossovers with characters owned by other companies, there is going to be the Superman Spider-Man crossover comic this year.
Yeah, so I was gonna save that one for last because of how awesome this entire thing is. So for people who don't know, last year they did Deadpool, Batman, and Batman Deadpool. So for a lot of people don't know this, by the way, is that they're two separate titles. So one is written by like Marvel talent and drawn by Marvel talent, and the other side is written by DC talent, and like it's kind of way the Street Fighter cross Tekken and Tekken cross Street Fighter were supposed to happen, except that DC and Marvel are keeping both their ends of the deal. So Superman Spider-Man is publishing in March 25th. It's got a shit ton of covers. If you guys haven't seen these covers are amazing. Jim Lee has one. So does George Jimenez. George Jimenez has the main one. There's David Nakayama. There's a lot of really cool ones. Michael Janine, I can't remember how to say his name, but he's got one of my favorite covers of Spider-Man punching out Lex Luthor. And they're gonna be 8 different stories. I don't know if we know who's writing them all or what actually no, I think in the DC side we do. So we have a Tom King, Jim Lee, Lois and Mary Jane one. Matt Fraction and Steve Lieber are doing Jimmy Olsen and Carnage. Sean Murphy is doing a Superboy and 2099 Spider-Man. This is like a Legion of Superheroes Superboy. Gail Simone is doing Power Girl meets the Punisher, which is an interesting choice. Christopher Priest and Daniel Semper are doing Superboy Prime visiting Spider-Man right after he gets the black suit. And Greg Rucka and Nicholas Scott are doing a Daily Planet Daily Bugle storyline. And apparently Jeff Lemire is doing a Pa Kent Uncle Ben story. So that's interesting. So those are what we know right currently about that. The Marvel side's a little more mystery, only because we don't know the exact date it's coming out. But that one will be in April. That one's the Spider-Man Superman one. This is what we have apparently for the storylines. There's going to be Spider-Man Superman with Lex against Lex and Norman, a Spider-Man Noir and Golden Age Superman storyline. Gary Frank is doing a spider families against each other due to a Mysterio thing. There's a symbiote storyline of symbiotes invading Metropolis by Jason Aaron. There's a Steel and Thor storyline, I think, against Hobgoblin. A crossover between Gwen Stacy and Lana Lang, and a Miles Morales Superman crossover with Brian Michael Bendis. It does say and more, but I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means there's more stuff. There's also a ton of covers for this one. These covers are also really fun. One of these is one gigantic wraparound of Superman and Spider-Man's this family beating up each other's rogues galleries, which is really cool. There's a lot of really cool ones in here. They don't credit the artists as easily on the Marvel one for some reason. Greg Capullo's on one, Brian Stegman, Eric Larson. There's Mark Bagley. There's a lot of great artists on this. I highly recommend, if you guys haven't got a chance, Google these, because you'll be able to find all the covers, so you can figure out exactly which cover you want to get. Because there's
a lot of impressive talent though on on that, and I can see why. You know, who wouldn't want to work on that? But those are like your two favorite characters ever, Spider-Man and Superman, right?
Yeah, I'm planning on buying both. I'm planning on buying is the covers I want the most, and then framing them probably next to my actual copy of Spider-Man, Superman versus the Amazing Spider-Man. I didn't buy any of the facsimiles. I thought about buying one of the facsimiles because for people who don't know, you can also buy. I don't know if they're still out at this point. I don't know if they've sold out or yet. Is you can buy a facsimile edition of Superman versus the Amazing Spider-Man. It's like $20 though. So, but it makes sense because it's a fairly thick book. If you've ever read the actual original Superman
It
versus the
was
Amazing Spider-Man,
one of the. It might have been. Was that the very first Marvel DC crossover ever? I think
yes,
it was.
it was. There was they never they never did it before that point, and it was that's why it was such a huge deal, and why it was such a big it was a lot. It was pretty expensive for its time. It was like $2 for that time.
Hmm.
That was a lot because back then, if you look at cover prices back then, they were what like 50 cents or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
They were pretty cheap back then. So that says a lot of how expensive that was. And I have, like I said, I have a copy. I have a copy I bought. It's not in the best condition, but the cover looks really nice still. So I've never because if you try reading it, I feel like it'll fall apart type of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's one of the reasons I thought about buying the facsimile. But I have the DC Marvel omnibus, so I don't really need the facsimile to read it.
Right, it's collected in there.
So it's in there, and I don't have any reason for that. And I think it has some of the other crossovers that they did for Superman and Spider-Man after that. Because Superman and Spider-Man have done before this point at least 3 crossovers. There's that one. There's another one in a smaller book type form that I also read years ago, and there was another one that was part of a larger storyline that was another giant DC crossover where Venom shows him tries, but he's like powered up because of whatever the dimensional shenanigans are. And so Superman and Spider-Man have to team up to stop Venom. The other one was a Doctor Doom storyline. The second
that's the one where Venom was strong enough he could punch Superman across the room or something.
Yeah, he shows up in Metropolis stupidly powerful, and you're like, why is Venom stupidly powerful? Because people like to bring up that's another power scaler thing. People were like, Venom's strong enough to fight Superman. I'm like, you guys didn't read that story because that's a plot point in the story that even Spider-Man's he's not supposed to be this strong. So because the first one is a team up against Doc Ock and Lex Luthor. The second one is a team up against, I want to say Parasite and Doctor Doom, is what I want to say. I haven't read it in a long time. And then the other one was the Venom thing, but that's because it's a dimension story hopping thing, and it wasn't even sold as a Superman Spider-Man. It was the DC Marvel whatever thing or something, and it was only as kind of a small portion of that. I used to have it. I don't know if I have it anymore.
Yeah, I remember Venom being strong enough to beat up Superman, and thinking what the hell.
I don't even think that's
Venom stuff is going too far. It's
yeah, exactly.
Venom was way overhyped for a long time. He was way too popular of a character.
100%. It's one of the things I think that's not in the omnibus, but I think it's since its own specific storyline, they probably didn't put it in there. But it was very weird. It was a very weird storyline. But there's so many great Superman things in coming out. That comic being, in my opinion, the piece de resistance for all comic book stuff, because the Batman Deadpool thing was so weird, but that felt like such a gimmick. Where Superman Spider-Man feels like a celebration of both companies, because it's their poster children coming together for the first time with their names on the title in over 30 years. And I think that's really exciting.
Yeah. I've always thought the best one to do would be a Batman Spider-Man team up, because I feel like they would be very kind of Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson energy, when they team up, Peter would be the quippy one, and then Batman would be the serious one.
Oh, 100%. I own the 2 crossovers they did, even before the omnibus, because it's in the omnibus. But I own the 2 specific crossovers they did. The first one was a Joker Carnage crossover, and the second one was a Kingpin Ra's al Ghul crossover thing. But they treat it as if they've always lived in the same universe. Is what those specific crossovers do. That's always the interesting thing. When some crossovers are we've always been here the whole time. It's
That
like,
was
wait, what?
the old Teen Titans and X-Men crossover from the 80s. It was like, yeah, like we've always coexisted in the same world. Like we've just never ran into each other before, I guess.
Yeah, we just, I'm such a big fan of you, Robin, and they're like, Robin and Jubilee. You're like, this is interesting. And then, whereas Batman and Spider-Man's, yeah, I'm visiting from Gotham. I've heard of Gotham. What the fuck are you talking about, Spider-Man? It's really interesting that way.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for the Superman Spider-Man comics on both the DC and Marvel side. Um, but yeah, the fact that this will be a year where Superman might be missing for a while in the main universe is kind of interesting. After last year they did like the summer of Superman, and this year it's going to be like the summer without Superman. It sounds like.
Yeah, it's interesting that this is where we're going with. Oh, I forgot one other thing that got announced. Because this was like within the week. Kevin Smith is writing a Bizarro mini called Bizarro You're None.
Okay.
I almost forgot about it. I just remembered because I even opened a tab just to make sure I remembered. But yeah, Kevin Smith is doing a Bizarro comic called You're None,
Mhm.
and I'm cautiously optimistic. The reason for that is that um, the thing about Kevin Smith is I love Kevin Smith to death, but he is 50-50 on comics for me.
I would say
His
he's like 33, 33, 33. He could be like very good, very bad, or very mid. It's like one of those three.
that's fair because I love his Green Arrow, the two Green Arrows runs he did.
Uh-huh.
I his Daredevil's not bad. His Batman and Spider-Man are some of the worst things I've ever read in my life. Um,
The widening gyre, however you say
yeah, the
that. But
Widening Gyre. I think there's one other story before that. I think the Widening Gyre.
oh, the cacophony.
Cacophony. I
Yeah,
actually thought Cacophony was okay.
yeah.
Because
Cacophony was the mid one. Yeah.
Cacophony was the mid one because that was the one that felt like a sequel to his second Green Arrow. And then Widening Gyre never finished actually. If people don't know
That's for
that,
the best. I'm
it
fine with that.
it ends on a cliffhanger, and no one knows what happened after that
Because
to
no
this
one,
day.
no one cares. No
No,
one
no one
wants to
cared.
know.
No one needs to know, and it's a whole thing. But yeah, he's doing. Let me see if I can find the specific mention of what it's supposed to be about. So here it is. The series follows Superman pals Jimmy Olsen and Perry White as they depart for a strange adventure in outer space. Their journey leads them to a dimension that mirrors Metropolis and reverse its legendary newspaper as an article of faith. As they unravel the mystery of this bizarre world, they confront the being behind it all. Is he a misguided Superman fan, an agent of pure chaos, or is he no one at all? So it seems to be the idea of. I think the idea is that's the first time the rest of the world has ever found out about Bizarro.
So year none. It's gonna be the origin story.
Yeah, it seems to be an origin about. There's some variant covers already by Frank Quietly, um, and the guy who did Luthor. I forgot. I can't say his name. It's a very
Azzarello? Or no, the artist.
the artist itself. I'm never sure how to say his name, but I think apparently there's already a couple of variants by them. But there's the main cover is by Nick Pitara. Um, the year known one kind of has like a feel, like almost has like a Rockwell feel to it, almost because that one actually has Superman on it. Where the Frank Quietly
Lee
is like the Thinker, but with a Bizarro.
Lee Bermejo, is that the artist?
I think so. Um, I think so. Yeah. If not, I might just be looking at this wrong. But but yeah. The Frank Quietly cover is amazing. It's a really cool. It's like him as the Thinker, like this, and it just looks kind of funny. But I'm very excited just because I like Bizarro. But as you mentioned, Kevin Smith can go either way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was just announced Friday. That's the reason I almost forgot about it.
Yeah, I didn't know about this, but yeah, the Frank Quietly cover does look good. So
It's a fantastic cover, the Frank Quietly one.
cool. Well, yeah, I'll be cautiously optimistic about that title as well. Uh, but anything else on Superman comics in 2026?
I'm trying to remember if there was one that I saw because I feel like there's one that I saw that I can't remember specifically. Well, I guess there's still the Justice League stuff.
Yeah.
As far as I know, Superman's still in Justice League. They're doing a storyline right now where it's a team of alternate, like of time variants, and one of the time variants that is part of the team is Electric Blue Superman. So he's, as far as I know, that he's still part of that storyline at the moment. I don't know what's going to happen with Justice League Unlimited with the because it would be the aftermath of DCKO by the time some of the other stuff happens. So they're either that storyline might be done and Superman might not be in it anymore, or maybe Superboy Prime will be part of it. There's not really a lot on there that says there's going to be some DC facsimiles that are going to be coming out this year that are still Superman related. One of them is um the Superman's first time meeting Brainiac, the first Brainiac appearance. There's going to be a facsimile of that, a facsimile edition of Action Comics. According to this, is 242 is what it is. So keep an eye out for that if you guys are facsimile collectors. So they're coming out with stuff like that because I'm actually really happy with these facsimiles because there's some really cool ones that like if you just wanted it for the cover to like just have or they're not, or maybe they're not even collected somewhere, it's cool to have. Like I just think that's really cool.
Yeah, and it sounds like they might be promoting Brainiac stories because it would appear he's going to be a big focus of the Man of Tomorrow movie that's about to start production. It's not coming out till next year, but
Oh,
throughout.
I just found another solicitation. They're coming out with a new trade for Salvation Run.
Oh, because they're doing that in Peacemaker
Yeah,
and other DCU
it's gonna
stuff.
come
So
out in
okay.
April. So they're collecting it. Yeah. Outside of that, it's because of James Gunn loves selling comics, and he's been really good about that. So for I'm really excited for that just because it shows that how much James Gunn wants to be like, I want you guys to buy comics because there was a news story recently that I shared. If people haven't seen it, that DC is outselling Marvel right now,
Hmm.
and honestly, it makes sense because James Gunn is constantly every time a trailer ends, it goes buy a comic. Anytime anything ends, it's like go buy that comic. He is he is the champion of comic books just as much as he's the champion of the movies and the TV shows and everything. And I think it's doing wonders for DC right now. And they're
Yeah.
constantly reprinting stuff that people just want too. That's the other thing. Marvel's like, what if we reprinted Brand New Day again? I'm like, no one gives a shit about Brand New Day. I saw that. I saw there's a new omnibus for Brand New Day. I'm like, who the fuck cares? But DC's like, yeah, we got an omnibus for fucking Jeff Lemire's Green Arrow. I'm like, well, that sounds kind of cool. I want that type of thing. Like, there's a Batman in the 70s, like it's the Danny O'Neill time frame. It's like, yeah, these are all things people want. Like, no one wants your fucking Brand New Day bullshit.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that if the Netflix Warner Brothers merger goes through, or hopefully not, but what would be even worse, I think if the Paramount Warner Brothers merger went through. I'm just hoping that none of these other corporate interests gain control of DC Comics and mess up what they're doing now. Because I agree with you, it's the best the company's been in a long time, maybe ever. Like, when was the last time they outsold Marvel? It was like immediately after the New 52 launched. They
Yeah, and then it dropped like a fucking rock
yeah. then,
right
then
after
everyone
that.
read that shit that they like. Everyone ran out and bought it, and then they read what they bought, and they're like, "Oh, fuck this!" And the
Oh, it turns
sales
out
went back down.
most of this is bad, as
Yeah.
it turns out. And then no one read. I'm amazed any of those books made it to 52, and they canceled a bunch of them. If you remember, they made 52 new number ones, and they only like kept like maybe 20 of them, something like that. It was pretty
Oh
bad.
yeah, that'll
It
be
was real
interesting.
bad.
Yeah, I should go back and see how many actually made it to issue 52. But that's all in the past. We're doing really good right now on the DC side of things. So there's a lot to be excited about in 2026, especially on the Superman side. And I guess the last thing I want to mention is that we'll have a lot of Man of Tomorrow news to cover this year as we learn more about that film as it goes in production. We currently know that they have the that German actor that no one knows anything about, but Lars Edinger as
Yeah,
Brainiac.
that's very exciting because of the fact I love that James seems to be willing to take chances on because we spent months just being like, well, which big time actor do you want to be Brainiac? And he was like, I'm not doing that. Fuck you guys. He's like, I'm getting the best person for the job, and that's what I appreciate about James Gunn is he gets who he thinks is the best person. And getting somebody like him will help a lot because this is going to sound bad the way I say this, but foreign peoples are very good at making things more otherworldly for most
Sure, yeah.
audiences because of that. Like that's a good example is Arnold Schwarzenegger's The Terminator. Arnold Schwarzenegger's The Terminator feels otherworldly, kind of not human, partially because of his accent. But where he's from, he sounds like a good old boy, Southern man, which is why in his own country of Austria, he wasn't allowed to dub the Terminator.
Because they thought he sounds too much like a stupid bumpkin.
Yeah,
Like
because to them it's not terrifying. They're just
right, right.
like, oh, fucking Cletus is after me. Fucking sure, I guess
I never
that's
knew that.
terrifying. So
Uh,
it's that sort of idea. So it's kind of funny that way.
But yeah, that's a good point. Like the most generic, mainstream, unexotic thing ever is an American accent in a movie. You know, like everyone's heard that. So I like getting this German guy that no one has ever heard of to play Brainiac. Seems like an interesting choice to me.
It's such a
You were
great thing. Yeah.
before we went live on the stream, you were telling me that there's some recent rumors of Maxima being included in this movie as a
Yes, which makes some sense if we, based on what we know, sort of. Maybe she'll be part of like the Salvation Planet, maybe, or maybe she's just something in space that shows up when Brainiac shows up, because Maxima was part of what is the name of the story? I have it. The problem is I'd have to get up to grab it. Panic in the Sky. I remember.
Panic in the
Panic
Sky.
in the Sky. Maxima's a
The
huge part of Panic in the Sky.
Brainiac and Maxima, yeah, they're both
Yeah, which is a huge
bad
Brainiac
guys in that. Yeah,
storyline.
yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if
Mm.
she is actually, if it's a true rumor, because of the fact she has a really hardcore connection to Brainiac, especially at the time it was one of the first modern interpretations of Brainiac post Crisis on Infinite Earths, and he wasn't a robot at that point. He was like a guy, or he was like an alien, or he wasn't even an alien. I can't remember the specifics about it. I have it like again that I have because Brainiac starts off as like just some dude, some psychic guy, and then I guess his body gets taken over eventually, and then it turns out there was in fact an alien named Brainiac. And that's kind of where Panic in the Sky sort of happens. It's like it's post the War World storyline. But I'm really interested to see if Maxima does end up happening, because she's, in my opinion, she's kind of an underrated character. She just sort of came and went after a while, especially once Clark got married. She just she didn't really seem to be useful at that point because her entire thing is like
She wants to
trying
marry
to,
Superman.
yeah, exactly.
She's the
And
all-powerful queen of her world, and she needs like a suitable suitor to marry her, and
yeah, and he's like the
she's got
first
the hots for
person
Superman. Yeah.
who's ever beaten her in a fight, because that's part of it, is that like she wants to marry somebody who can take her in a fight, and he's the first person that's ever just like takes her down, and she's just like, well, now you have to marry me. He's like, I came here because you fucking attacked me. What the fuck are you talking
Yeah.
about?
I came here to beat you up, and she's like, that is so hot.
It's funny because she's kind of the meme when somebody goes, I can take him, and they're like, in a fight, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good way to describe Maxima. So I think James Gunn would have a lot of fun adapting a character like that too. So
She's a wonderful character. If you guys have never seen, if you guys don't have a chance of like reading one of her stories, find the Superman animated series episode about her. That one's a pretty good example of it. I think it's just called Maxima, right? I don't remember the name of it, the name of the episode. But that's a good example. Apparently, she's in other stuff, but she's not exactly Maxima. Is the only problem. I
yeah,
think that show's the only one where she's the closest to what her comic book counterpart is. Because
somewhat. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say every version we found when we were looking into her, they were like inspired by or has the name of, but clearly not the same fucking character type of thing.
Who would you cast to play Maxima?
Mm. I'm trying to remember. Probably well, like the tricky thing is whether or not you want her to be her fiery redhead look, and if you do, there's actually a good amount of options nowadays. One of them I would consider is the woman who they're getting. One of the she was in the Game of Thrones. I can't remember her name off the top
Sophie
of my head.
Turner.
Yeah, I think she would be a good choice. So would because she was in the X-Men stuff too, right?
Hmm.
If I remember
I
correctly.
suggested Karen Gillan previously, but she's worked with James Gunn before in the Guardians movies.
Karen Gillan's a great choice because again, there's so many options this time around. Whereas when we did the last one, there wasn't a ton of them. How old is the Stranger Things Max woman? How old is she now? Because depends on whether or not I think she's like the actress would be a good idea.
Well, if you
Sadie
wanna,
Sink. Oh, Sadie Sink's 23. I could go 50-50. She
so
might be too young.
you probably know this person more than I do, because I don't really keep up with wrestling. But Becky Lynch, the Irish
Oh,
wrestler, she does some acting now. She just showed up in Star Trek Starfleet Academy, so.
that would be actually no. She'd be a great choice
But she
because
would be
she
able to
already
do the
has.
physical, the action stuff.
Yeah, and she's already got a really great look. I think she would. She would. I think she would get across the warrior queen type thing.
Yeah, she looks like
Um,
she could fight Superman.
yeah, she looks like she could fight Superman very easily. So I there's if that Maxima rumor turns out to be true, because again this hasn't been
Yep.
confirmed by anything. I haven't checked Threads or Blue Sky or any of those to see if James Gunn went nah, but because he's pretty good about that.
That's true. He might have shot it down already, but
James Gunn loves shooting down things. I'm just gonna look up his thing real quick just to see if he has any replies to anything. Um, he's just talking about he replies to people a lot. Like a lot of these
uh,
replies are within the past day, but a lot of them aren't
he's probably
specifically about certain things.
quickest on Threads. Don't you think that's probably where he's the most active?
Yeah, because some of the people have been asking him about Clayface. People are saying, "Are you still on track for September?" He's like, "So far, yeah." The people have asked him if he's seen any of the rough cuts for any of the movies. He's like, "Well, for some of them, I let the director get first cut," and so there's a lot going on in here.
Yeah, I don't see anything on Maxima, so he doesn't seem to have commented yet.
No, he did confirm that Sam McCurdy is still going to be the cinematographer for Man of Tomorrow. Because
Yeah,
this was part of he had originally replied to somebody saying, "Is there any rumors about people auditioning for Batman and Wonder Woman?" He's like, "Nope, every Batman Wonder Woman audition rumor is false." So at the moment, I don't think he's started casting them. But this Maxima thing's been up for most of the day or a large chunk of the day, so we will find out pretty soon because he's pretty good about debunking. But if he doesn't debunk it, it's possible it's true.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out sooner or later, eventually, either way, I guess. But yeah, I'm definitely excited to follow Man of Tomorrow, and of course to get closer to our Supergirl movie, and hopefully find out a release date for My Adventures with Superman season 3 soon. So those are the big things I'm looking forward to this year.
Yeah, Superman has never been in a better place since I want to say the '90s, in my opinion. And even then, I think he's even in an even better place than he was during the '80s and '90s because we live in a world where people like Superman movies again. Because people weren't liking Superman movies in the '90s, I'll tell you that. So I'm very
Well,
excited to see what it means for the big blue. Um, and I can't wait to keep buying more comics for Superman. And man, I never would have. I don't. If you would have told me 20 years ago that I'd be reading more Superman than I am reading Spider-Man, I would have thought you were a crazy person. But here I am.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's good that if those are your two favorite characters, I'm glad it's really working out for one of them. But
Yeah,
the day will come when the Spider-Man fans will be eating good again, and the Superman comics will suck. All these things are very temporary. It's always in a state of flux. So
yeah. It's cyclical, as they call it.
yeah, let's just enjoy the ride. But I think that's gonna do it for today. We can go ahead and wrap up. But I know in the near future we were talking about reading Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. So
Yes, we also talked about watching Supergirl, the not the new one,
but yeah, the 1984 movie that
the
I
1984
have a
movie.
soft spot for. I'm not saying it's a good movie, but I don't know.
I don't
I
know how
like
what
it more than most people.
I actually don't know what my thoughts are on it anymore. I haven't seen it since I was like 12 or something like that, and I was so confused that I never went back because I'm like, I don't know
Oh,
what the
you're
fuck
still
I
gonna
just
be
saw.
confused. You're always gonna be confused watching it, but
If you guys get a chance, there is a website called oneofus.net, and they have a podcast called Trash in the Can. They actually just did an episode on Supergirl. If you guys are curious what their thoughts are on it, so I
nice.
do recommend checking with them. I was a little annoyed they didn't ask me about it, but I get it.
I was about to ask you like, oh, are you on that? But
No, three of my friends did it. I told them though, if they do Superman 4 without me, I will kill them.
yeah, that'd be a good fodder for that project as well. But, um, we shall return in the near future then, probably talking about something Supergirl related, but we'll also be talking more Superman later this year. So we'll go ahead and sign off. But until next time, everyone, keep it super.